Hey everyone, this is Rachel, and as I promised you a couple weeks ago, this is my packing to go to a crop video, the 2019 edition. This one is especially geared towards when you're driving to a crop. I will be flying to a crop later in the year in the fall, and Xanthi has decided to join us. So I will do an updated version of packing to go to a crop, the flying edition, because as I said, I will be flying to that crop later on in mid-September 2019. So I've made several versions of this video. They're all very similar, just obviously updated to what I'm working on currently. So without any ado, I will go ahead and get started. And if you've watched my other packing videos, they're pretty much the same. I find now that I've regularly been going to crops at least twice a year for about the past 3 or 4 years. I have a system that works for me. So obviously this system may not work for you, and that's okay. Everyone scraps their own way, everyone crops their own way. The entire point is just to give you what works for me and see if maybe some of it will work for you, maybe all of it will work for you, maybe one thing will work for you. And I just like, sorry, I'm trying to keep her from getting up here. I just like seeing what other people do, maybe getting ideas from them. So I know I enjoy when I'm getting ready to go to a crop, seeing what new videos are out there. I'm hoping that you guys enjoy it as well. And Xanthi's being obnoxious, so I might have to pause this. You won't know, but I'll know. All right, so first step, whenever I'm going to a crop, the first thing I do is I write down a schedule. This is not a schedule of what I'm going to be doing. This is not, oh, it's 2 o'clock, I should be working on my 5th layout. This is just a kind of baseline of what I could possibly do. So I take a look at the crop schedule. I keep into mind whether they're serving food or whether I'm going to have to go out and get food. What time the crop opens, what time the crop closes. In this particular case, I'm driving 2 hours, but I'm gonna have to go pretty early because I'm driving through New York City. So I'm either gonna have to leave really early to miss traffic or end up coming in late, and nobody likes to go late to the crop. So I'll probably end up leaving early. So I'll probably not want to stay up super late to crop. I'll save that for Saturday. And so I just keep those things in mind, like I said, the meals, whether or not there's a store close by that you're going to go shopping at, just to get an idea of how many. So I have this little notebook. This is actually from Rock Your Notebook on Etsy. She does a lot of traveler's notebooks in all sorts of papers. So I bought this mini one, and I just use it to keep, usually what I use it for is game scores when we play board games or card games, but I put it in this. So basically I gave myself an hour for setup. I know because I make videos, it takes me about an hour to do a layout. So I have, I could do 2 layouts in this particular time period. That does not mean I will do 2 layouts. I leave room for lunch, I leave room for dinner. I, decide I'll probably go to bed around 10. I don't know if that's actually true or not. But the whole thing is I do that for the entire weekend, and I wind up with a number of layouts I could possibly do. And for this particular weekend, it's 26. Does that mean I have to do 26 layouts? No. Does it mean I could do 27 layouts? Absolutely. I just like to keep the amount of product I bring to within, say, 10 of what I think I can do. That way, if I am super duper productive, I have stuff to work on, and also I have a choice. If I bring just 26 layouts and I am super productive, it might be that I'm not in the mood to do a double page layout or a layout about Christmas or any other thing that if I only bring 20 things to work on, I'll have to work on that, or I just won't work on anything, which is also fine. Chatting with your friends or chatting with new friends or just watching people, create things are all great things to do while you're at a crop. So that is my first step. And once I do that, I just have more of an idea of what I can do. So the next thing I do is I pick out photos. So obviously if I can do 26 layouts plus some extras, I want to choose enough photos that go along with those 26 plus the extra layouts. So I go through and I pull them, and I try to pull things where I can use my kits multiple times. So if I choose 3 sets of photos, I'll try to choose one kit to go with that. Now, obviously, a lot of this depends on how you pack your stuff. I'm sorry, not how you pack your stuff, but how you keep your stuff when you're at home. I organize my items by manufacturer line, by collection, and then once I get those collections down to where there isn't a lot of them, I store them by manufacturer. So this style of organizing works quite well for crops. If you're someone who stores by color or someone who stores by theme, it's a little bit different, and you might have to work a little bit harder if you want to do this the way I do it, but it might just be that you adapt it to how it works for you. All right, so I'm going to show you an example. Give me 1 second. Okay, so as I said, I normally pack my stuff by collection. So here we have Simple Stories Winter Wonderland, and in here I have my paper, I've got my stickers, I've got my enamel dots, I believe I had the chipboard. Xanthi, you are a pain in the butt. Sorry guys, I'm just gonna let her sniff stuff. I'm not scrapbooking right now, so it doesn't bother me. So what I just do is I picked out the photos that that I will be scrapbooking, and I added it to this line because I felt it fit the mood of the layouts I'm going to be scrapbooking. I also did the same with several others. Some are collection kits. I have the Simple Stories Forever Fall collection kit. I also have some other pieces as well, and I've got several different layout photos in here as well. So this is how I do it. Now, as I said, these are almost all by line. I don't know if I'm bringing any. Oh, the only thing that isn't by line is I am bringing a bunch of all of my Christmas stuff. This is the majority of my Christmas materials. I have some more, not a huge amount, but I do have some more for Christmas scrapbooking. I have even more than that for Christmas card making, but this is the majority of what I have for Christmas scrapbooking because my plan is to finish off all of my Christmas layouts for this year, for 2018 Christmas. So each of these has photos that go either color-wise, theme-wise, or mood-wise. And those are my usual choices for how I pick my papers to go with my photos. Now, this is in a Container Store medium utility bin. And I still have the sticker on it because that's how I roll. So I'm sorry, it's not the medium, it's the large multi-purpose bin. And this is from the Container Store. And I did get it at the actual Container Store. There's one about an hour and a half from my house, but we are up near Boston, so I had stocked up on these. And I find these work really well for bags of paper or collections. They also work really well for thickers or alpha stickers if you're someone who needs that for organizing. So, and this is when I bring it in, and this is what I keep it in at the crop. I usually have this on the floor next to where I scrap, and that way it's easily accessible, but it's not taking up room on my desk. Now, I did mention I will film a really quick film of my desk setup. I actually already have one of those from a previous crop on my channel, but I will film a new one. It's going to be based, as most of these videos are, it's going to be basically the same thing, but as people have mentioned, they really do enjoy seeing the setup and thinking up new ideas for how they can set up their own. So this is the first thing that goes in. And just so you know, if anybody has any questions about this, if I didn't explain it well enough or anything like that, please feel free to drop me a comment and I will get back to you about that. I do try to be proactive and answer all the questions I can, especially on these videos where I'm talking about cropping and packing rather than just a normal process video. So these are all I'm bringing for themed or collection or anything like that. I will be bringing some generic embellishments and obviously letter stickers and things like that. But for paper and everything, this is it. This is all I'm bringing. As I said, I tried to keep it where I have a couple of layout photos for each one. Now, some of these, like for this one, I believe there are 2 double page layouts that I'm going to be doing with this, plus a single page layout, but I have a full collection pack. I believe I've only done 1 layout with this particular line, and it was actually before I bought the kit. I had some loose papers, so I've only done 1 layout. So I have plenty of paper to be able to do 2 double page layouts. So with this, I believe I will put it in the screen exactly how many. I don't remember. I believe it's around 30, maybe slightly more than that, but I've got at least 30 sets of photos going to the crop with me, like to be able to work on, but this is like the main part of my scrapbooking stuff. So you don't need to bring the kitchen sink in order to have a productive crop. So as you can see, this is like a pretty small amount, but this is approximately what I bring to every crop. And this is what I allow myself to bring when I drive to a crop. Because obviously I have 4 of these, I think 4 of these, and they all have collection kits in them. And then I have this other one that sits on my desk, and that's kind of stuff I'm currently working with, and then white cardstock, which reminds me I need to add my white cardstock. So I will add some white cardstock to this, and you'll see there's plenty of room for this white cardstock. I'm not, shoving it in there. I mean, I'm shoving it in there because I'm, making sure it goes all the way down to the bottom, but I'm in no way packing it in there. I'm going to pack some regular white cardstock and then a couple of pieces of marshmallow white cardstock in case I want to do some mixed media. Xanthi is not happy. Sorry. Anyway, so this is all the paper I am bringing. And you can obviously bring more. If you're driving and you have your car, you can pack your car full. But how much time will you be spending looking through all your paper rather than scrapbooking? And as I said before, if that's what makes you happy, then that's what makes you happy and you should do it. But if you're frustrated by what you're not doing at a crop, I'm just giving you some ideas that might help you. All right, so this is one thing that goes to the crop with me. So this is the next thing that goes with me. It is the Totally Tiffany, oh sugar, I don't remember what it's called now. I'll put it in the screen because I'll look it up and make sure. And I'll also put a link to everything I have or to the equivalent available now up on in the description box below. I forgot to mention that before. So a lot of these, you'll see a lot of these available in different places. They look very similar. They're the 2-sided totes, and you can, pack your stuff full in here, and they're great. There's one difference with this Totally Tiffany one, and that is that it Velcros, and I'm gonna make a Velcro noise, so I apologize. That scared Xanthi. And so the cool thing about this is you can take it and place it up against the back of your scrapping area and have all of your stuff right here at your fingertips. You don't have to have it all over your desk. It's got a place to go, and then it's easy to carry back out of the crop room. So I'm just gonna put this here and pack it up. Now, one thing I didn't mention is I do have a spreadsheet, and I just use Google Docs, which is a free online thing you can do. All you have to do is get a Gmail account, and one of the things I keep track of is what I'm packing. Every single thing I bring to the crop, I put on that list, and in what bag it goes to. That's because I'm a crazy person. But it makes sense to me. It helps me remember things. It helps me when I go to another crop, I say, did I actually use that? You know, do I really need to pack it for this particular crop? And it's just something that helps me work on my own scrapbooking, packing ability, if that makes sense to anyone besides the words coming out of my mouth. Okay, so we've got 4 big pockets, and then we have 6 smaller pockets. There are also elastic things where you can tuck things like pens and styluses and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna pause the camera, and I'm gonna bring out the first group of things I pack in this. So I'm just going to pop in super quick with a voiceover for this little part. I'm showing you a couple of screenshots of what I'm talking about. One thing I didn't mention in the video, but that I do, is that I pre-write a lot of my journaling just so I don't have to think about it. And then here is where I'm showing you the layouts and kits. So I just create a spreadsheet of what each layout is about, how many photos are in it, what type of thing I'm looking at. It just gives me an overview to think about. And then here's the last thing I'm talking about, and that is my packing list. And once again, it's just a spreadsheet on Google Docs, and I write down everything I have and where it's going. All right, going back now. Bye! Okay, so here are all the things I plan to pack into my, and I remember what it's called. It's called a Ditto Bag. The last time I did this, I showed it to you already packed, so I thought this time I would pack it while I'm talking to you and explain why I bring certain things, why I don't bring certain things. So for the Ditto Bag, what I normally pack in here are embellishments and tools that I use on all sorts of pages. So especially in the embellishment section of scrapbooking supplies, these are the things I might use on this layout about school, and then this layout about summer, and this layout about, you know, dogs, but not necessarily themed in either mood, color, or theme. You know what I mean? Like a dog themed item. The difference, I have just a few more embellishments that I bring, but I don't put them in here because I pack the entire thing, simply because I don't own a ton of it, so I don't feel the need just to bring a portion to the crop. So that's for the embellishment side, and the other side of what goes in here are my tools, and obviously I like having those at eye and hand level, so they're just easy for me to grab. All right, so the first thing I bring is my ATG, and that goes right in here. It fits quite nicely right there. I unfortunately can't leave it like this while I'm waiting to go, because my cat will totally eat the glue, as she loves to do that. So I will pack that like this. I also bring several packages of tape. I've never gone through more than one, but you know, hope springs eternal that I'll be super productive. And I just tuck those in there as well. It fits better when I have it flipped over, but I'm not gonna freak out about that. Now, the majority of the stuff is very similar to what I normally bring. I do have a couple of new things, and those are mainly these Distress Oxides, because I just started using these last fall. Obviously, I did not close them correctly, but now they're closed correctly after all that squeaking. So I just started purchasing these last fall. So I'm just bringing a selection, mainly blues, pinks, and purples, simply because those are the colors I tend to scrapbook with. So I will place those in there. I also bring black Distress ink, and then I bring a bunch of little cube ones in neutral colors in case I want to ink the edges of my paper. Also going in that little slot is the ink blender tool I use for the mini ones. I don't use those for the Distress Oxides, just for when I'm inking the edges of my papers. I knew I'd get the word there. I also bring a selection, I'm not bringing those. I also bring a selection of mists. They work well for both spattering on paper as well as the packaging technique. So in Heidi Swap, I bring Heidi Swap Gold and Heidi Swap Navy. This is my favorite navy. I tend to like Shimmer's products more than the Heidi Swap products, but I find that navy works quite well. I then also bring a selection of the mists in the colors I use most often. So my most often used colors are the Jenny B Blue, the Tuscan Sun, and the Mango Tango. And then I just bring Rose Gold Red, Hermit the Frog, Princess, and Pink Moscato. So a red, a green, a purple, and a pink, just to round out my rainbow. And they usually fit pretty well in here. I just have to kind of smoosh them around. Now I am bringing my larger Jenny B Blue simply because I'm actually running out of Jenny B Blue in the small size, so I went ahead and purchased a bigger size. And then I also pack my liquid glue. I am currently using Art Glitter Clear Glue. Art Glitter is the name of the company. It's not glitter glue. I like that very much. It's what I'm using instead of the Scotch Quick Dry. It takes a little bit longer to dry, but it often gives me time to use it for sequins, which I don't really use all that often, but I like to mention that because I know a lot of people do use sequins. Also, if I'm putting a lot of wood veneer down, and what really works well for it is when you're adding glue to the back of a cut file. That works really well. I'm also adding this little glue stand. This works with the Art Glitter. It also works with the Scotch Tacky Glue. You do need to leave the pin in when you use it with the Art Glitter Glue because it will simply drip. The Scotch Quick Dry, if you're using a fine line bottle, that will not drip through using this. This I got from Etsy and it was like $5. So it works really well and I really enjoy it. Sorry, I keep having things slide. I'll go ahead and pack this so it stops sliding. So this pile, and I'm gonna scoot it over. Okay, sorry, I had to move some things around. I had something in there that didn't belong in there. As I was saying, this pile is a mixed bag of things. It's mini alphas, it's stamps, it's word stamps, it's word and phrase stickers, it's label cut-aparts for journaling and stuff like that. So as I said at the beginning of this portion of the video, this is what I use for just all of my layouts, not something specifically themed where I have a lot of the products from that particular collection, but just, you know, if when I bought the collection, all I bought were a couple pieces of papers and the sticker, but I'm like, oh, you know what that needs? That needs a chipboard sticker. And so this is someplace I can go, or a word and phrase sticker. So these embellishments are somewhere where I can go and use like the word wow or the phrase sticker, you're great, you know, where, you know, it just helps me flesh out my collections. So these are all mini stickers. I've got some wood veneer words and acrylic words. These actually go along with the Ellie Studio title builder volume. I have volumes 1 and 2 in one package because that's how I roll. So there are some elastics. This one is a full one. It's getting a little stretched out because I've used it multiple times, but you know, it still works. So I'll tuck that at the back because it's the biggest thing I have. I also have a bunch of label stickers and cut-aparts. I have 2 more stamp sets from the Ink Road. I have this one, it's called Zinnia, and it's a bunch of circles in different patterns. And then I also have the Love Wins one, which apparently I didn't put back in this packaging. I'll have to remember to do that before I go. And this is a LGBTQT themed one, and quite often I like tossing some of those on there. That's a brand new set to me, but I enjoy using it. I've got some puffy stickers. I've got some acrylics. I've got some cork. I've got some arrows. I've got a mini alpha stamp set as well, and that also came out with the Title Builder stamp set. So I like to use that as well. Just get all my stamps together. I've got some wood veneer things. I've got some cardstock stickers. And then I've got a plethora of smaller alphas. Those are puffy ones. These are flat ones. And then also some mini tile alphas and some other mini word ones. So these just go in here. Sorry, let me grab this big thing to go in the back. And then I don't mind if this is overstuffed. I'll pull things out. Let me put these cork arrows back. I had these next to me because I used them on a layout sort of recently. See, so these pretty much fit. Some go side by side rather than all in front. And they're just useful for me in, general scrapbooking embellishments. Okay? I'm also adding some fun foam. This is the one that's adhesive on one side, and that's just in case I want to pop something up. I used to have the Scotch roll, but I find for scrapbooking, I prefer this, and it's just a personal preference. I also have my T-square ruler, and I'll just tuck that in there. I also bring some Post-it notes, and the reason for this is, I'm not bringing everything, but I might, when I'm doing the scrapbook, go, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have this? And I know I have it back at my house. So I'll just write myself a little note, don't forget to add, so then when I get back to my house, I can go ahead and add that. Move this over here so I can pull this out. So I'm someone who likes to do mixed media, so I'm going to bring some mixed media items. I have, first of all, gesso. Now, yes, I am bringing marshmallow cardstock. For those of you who don't know, marshmallow cardstock is a type of cardstock by Basil, and it's a thicker cardstock, and it can handle light mixed media, like if you're just doing the packaging technique without too much water, or maybe a little bit of like distress oxide through a stencil, or just wiping it. But if you want to do something where you're going to add a lot of water, like watercolors, or you're going to slather texture paste on the background, you still need to do some gessoing. The reason being is the more water you add, the more toughness you need to your paper, especially if you're working with, say, watercolors or sprays, and the idea you want to do is to have it run down the paper. If you spray this on marshmallow cardstock or regular cardstock, it's going to soak into the paper right away. If you want the colors to run down or run in a circle or do anything like that where you want the colors to have movement, you need to add the gesso so the ink doesn't soak into the paper right away. I'm also going to bring some Nouveau Glimmer paste, some Ranger texture paste, some Vicky Bouton Rose Gold glaze, and then some Nouveau embellishment mousse. So that's what's going in my front pockets. And then over here, I'm going to add one of two things I bring too many of. I don't think it's horrible. It's just, it's okay. If you have a couple of things that you love and you like to poke through, and, it makes you feel better to have just so many of them, then go ahead and do it. For me, one of those things are enamel dots and like enamel hearts and stuff like that. I like to bring a multitude of these, so I have my choice when I go and scrapbook. I'm also going to bring my tiny attacher. I almost always bring this when I go on crops. I almost never use it when I go on crops. So I am still going to bring it. It'll be fine. And I did forget one thing, and that is my triple banner punch. This is from Stampin' Up. It's great if you're going to make a lot of fishtail banners, and I do that quite often. Not recently though. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that as well. And then the last thing I'm adding is actually something brand new. Now normally I would put pens and stuff in these little elastic bands, but I actually don't like that because, as you can see, the elastic bands get stretched out. If one thing is an issue with the Ditto bag, it's that the elastic bands get stretched out. But understand that I have owned this for close to not even close to three, almost 4 years now, and I've used it for multiple crops, and it's only recently that the elastic has started to get stretched out. I did pick up this little pen bag from the Ink Road, the same place 2 of my stamp sets came from, and it's super cute. As you can see, it stands up, and then what you can do is you pull it down, so now the kitty, all you see is the kitty head and the paws, and it holds all my pens and my Distress Oxide brushes and media spreader and some my X-Acto knife and my pokey tool and my detailed scissors. So this will sit nicely on my desk, and then when I want to pack it up, I simply stretch it back out so you see the entire kitty, and ta-da! I will put a link to that as well. I know she gets it in and then it sells right out, but I'll put a link to it, and then you can like follow her so that way you can see it. So let me get that in there, and then my enamel dots can go in as well. And so now you see my Ditto bag is completely packed. So all I will do is carry this in, and you see it you know, it's easy to pick up, and as I said, once I get to the crop, I will open this up and it will just go on the back side of like where my part of the table ends. All right, folks, I'm going to move on to the next bag and keep going with this video. Before I move on to the next bag, I just want to point out the utility bin I have. I put it inside this 31 bag. This is brand new. It was something I thought of. That way I have handles to carry it, and I can throw it over my shoulder. And it also has pockets on the outside. As I said, this is a 31 bag. And I'll be able to put like some snacks and stuff in here, and probably just some other last minute things, just to, you know, have extra room, because, you know, just in case I receive some things, they're having a give and take table and stuff like that. So, you know, it's always nice to have just a little bit of extra room for things you might pick up at the crop. Okay, next bag now. Okay, so next up is my little Harry Potter bag that I got for a Christmas gift a couple years ago. And in this, I put more things embellishment-wise. This will actually be the last of my scrapbooking stuff. But there are certain things that when I fly to a crop, I will grab smaller bits and put them together. Hang on, I'll show you. I actually forgot to undo this from last time, but you'll see here, this is a mix of flare and acrylic, and I think I used up all the wood veneer. But it's just, so when I fly to a crop, I'll put together a little mashup of stuff like this, whereas when I'm driving to a crop, because I tend to have more room, it's actually just easier to leave it like that. Xanthi comes back, of course. The point being, obviously, proof positive, it's more annoying to have to try to unpack it and work it back into your stash than just bringing the entire thing, since I don't have a huge amount. All right, dum-dum, let's go. Okay, so as I said, I'm losing my mind here. Okay, so what I have here is a mini iris case of flare, a mini iris case of acrylics, and then I have these separated out, my wood veneer, and that's simply because obviously wood veneer is all the same color. So while the acrylics and stuff, it's easy to see what they are because they're different colors, not so easy with the wood veneer. Now I'm gonna put everything back. Give me 1 second. Okay, so now my flare is with my flare, my acrylic is with my acrylic, and this container is empty. Woohoo! Okay, so as I said, this is just stuff that's slightly larger. It doesn't fit into my Ditto bag. It's not something I use with every layout. I don't need to have it out, so it usually just ends up staying in this bag. The untrueness of that is my little mini trimmer that I use for photos and everything. That comes out. And I'm sorry, my dog just started going nut bar, so you might hear her tap dancing around. I also pack this. This is a scrap-a-ma-jig, and what this is, it's a little drink holder trash bag combination thing that sits on the side of my desk. Now, that is not available anymore. I will link something similar that is available on Amazon, but I believe this has been discontinued. So these just pop in. That is that. All right, so that is my kind of like larger stuff that doesn't really fit in anywhere else, so it goes in here. I did forget about one thing that is scrapbooking related before I start talking about non-scrapbooking related stuff, and that is this. This is my Caterpillar crop bag. This is sold by Caterpillar, and it is made to fit the Caterpillar crop. They do have one that is also for the Caterpillar Pro, the larger one, and this fits right in here. I find this to be wasted space, so what I do, they've decided to play, I apologize guys, is I stuff it with my thickers. Now earlier I talked about how I have two things where I kind of go overboard even though I know I'm not going to need them. One of them is enamel dots, the second is stickers. I like having a good amount to choose from, and I don't like to, a title is something that's important to me in my scrapbooking, so I always want to make sure I have a lot of choices. So that is why I go with this. I bring a ton of thickers, and I'm okay with it. In fact, I'm going to do this, but I don't want to create overage. You know, I don't want to crush my thickers too much, because I'm bringing these as well. So these are thickers, and then I also have a bunch of the wonky alphas from Bella Boulevard and a bunch of the flat stickers from Ellie Studio. Do I need all of these? No. Am I going to touch even a quarter of them? Most likely not. But it makes me feel better, and I only do it with two types of things, so I'm okay with that. This is actually a bit much even for me, so I'm going to move these and just put these in here. Thickers squish better than the others, and I will put those actually in the same utility bin that my papers are in. This is actually quite forgiving, so I can squash it down and I'm still able to zip it up. Ta-da! There is a shoulder strap for this. There's also a pass-through for luggage if you have something that rolls. I normally have it without, just because I usually, if I'm flying, I pack it in a suitcase. But when I drive to a crop, I do usually put it on. I just need to find it. It's over with all of my bags, so I'm not going to worry about it this exact second, but there is a shoulder strap that goes on it that comes with this as well. All right, so I have two things that I take when I drive to a crop that don't go in a bag. They are my mat and my seat cushion, and this is one of those memory foam seat cushions. It is just from Amazon. They have them in a varied amount of price ranges, so you know, you can just pick out one that works for you. I definitely recommend, if you're going to a crop, that you do pick up some kind of seat cushion though, because you will be sitting in what's most likely a banquet chair for many hours on end. And I definitely think a seat cushion that helps your bum is definitely a good idea. You obviously don't have to bring a mat. I sometimes forget to bring a mat and I'm totally okay. But if I'm driving, it's a nice thing to have. All right, I have one more bag to kind of show you, and then another bag that I'm not going to show you, but I am going to talk about what goes in it. Okay, apparently I left that bag upstairs, and it's not that important. It is not scrapbooking stuff. It is just a navy laptop shoulder case. So in that goes my laptop, my Kindle, my Nook, any cords I need, any charging cords I need for my phone or for my Kindle or for my laptop. So basically anything that's going to be electronic is going to go in that bag. And it's just a tote bag that fits my laptop. The other things I put in there are stuff for the crop room that is not scrapbook related. I usually bring a pack of tissues, I bring some unscented lotion, I bring lip balm, I bring a water cup that has a screw on top with a plastic straw. I also bring a mug in case I want to make tea. I'm a big tea drinker, so I usually like to have a mug that I can make tea all day long. I also bring my own tea bags and, well, yeah, that's it, tea bags. I don't bring my own coffee. Okay, so that goes, and all of that goes in that navy tote bag, and then the food items might go in that 31 bag I showed you earlier. And the last thing I'm going to talk to you about is what to bring clothing-wise. So I keep it pretty simple, I keep it pretty basic. I just bring like very comfortable clothes, and then I bring usually one outfit just in case we are going out in public and I'm not one who wants to go out in like sweatpants or yoga pants or anything like that. I will go out in that, but just in case, I just take a pair of pants and a shirt and I roll it up and I throw it in the bottom of my suitcase, and usually I never touch it. But occasionally I do, and I like having it there. So other than that, I just bring enough clothes, comfortable clothes, that is fine for me to lay around, not lay around, but to hang out in all day long. It's a mix of yoga pants, as I said, and sweatpants, loose-fitting t-shirts, and that's just for me. If that's not something you're comfortable in, then you should bring what you're comfortable in. If sitting all day in jeans is comfortable for you, then you should do it. If you prefer wearing actual clothes that you go out in, then that's what you should do. The other thing to consider is your undergarments. Are you a full bra all day long lady? Then that's what you should wear. If you're someone who's not going to be comfortable with that, you might want to consider a sports bra or a tight-fitting tank top. It's just sitting in a crop all day while you're having fun and you're enjoying yourself. If you're uncomfortable with what you're wearing, you're going to be unable to be as active scrapbooking wise as you can. So it's just my 2 cents. I'm throwing it out there. You can take my advice. You cannot take my advice. I want to thank you guys so much for sticking through this video. I know it's a long one. As I said, for those of you who fly to different crops, I will be putting out one for flying, or you can watch the one I did last year. I will put a link. I do actually have a playlist on my channel that has all of my packing videos, any video I've made about organization, any video I've made about being at a crop. I don't do crop vlogs or anything like that, but I do have a video about my setup at a crop, and as I said, I will do another one for this crop. Oh, one thing I did forget to mention that I have a folding light, but I didn't pack it because I'm using it to film this video. But I will just show you, it folds up, so it's nice and travels quite well. I don't bring that when I fly, I just bring it when I drive because, I'm afraid it would break. Alright, as I was saying, thank you guys so much for watching this. If you have any questions whatsoever, just drop a comment below and I will answer it. Alright folks, thanks again so much. Xanthi says thanks as well. You're a goofball. Like I said, any questions, just drop a comment. Thank you guys once again. I know I'm very repetitive at this point. I'm tired of talking, but I I appreciate you guys watching this, and if you could flick me a thumbs up for this, that would be super great. Thank you guys, and I'm going to turn this off before Xanthi knocks it over. All right, bye.